September 1997. ABC Studios in Manhattan. Michael Jackson sits on a cream-colored couch across from Barbara Walters, wearing a black military jacket with gold buttons. The studio lights are soft, intimate, 60 million watching. She leans forward, hand extended like she's reaching for understanding, and slides a tabloid across the space between them. Wacko Jacko sleeps in coffin. The headline screams. His face stays composed, but his hands betray him. A single white glove sits in his jacket pocket, the one he wore on stage 1,000 times, now hidden. "My name is not Jacko," he says, and his voice cracks on the word. The crew freezes. Walters presses closer. "But Michael, isn't this just publicity you created?" His eyes go distant. What comes next will haunt every journalist who covered him. In the green room, a British reporter waits. She's written those headlines herself. The white glove stays untouched. The 6 words are coming. In 1987, Michael bought Neverland Ranch for $19.5 million. 2,700 acres in Santa Barbara County, complete with zoo, amusement park rides, and a movie theater. The press called it proof of his delusion, a grown man building a theme park. They missed the point entirely. Neverland was a fortress. Inside those gates, he could exist without cameras tracking his every move, without tabloids inventing stories about him sleeping in glass coffins. The vitiligo was spreading across his skin, an autoimmune condition that would later be confirmed in his autopsy. The British press intensified their coverage. Wacko Jacko appeared in hundreds of headlines. His response was silence. Public dignity, private devastation. Children who visited Neverland noticed he never read newspapers. The white glove became a daily ritual. Left hand only, rhinestones catching light, symbol of control in a life increasingly controlled by others. "Real wealth is what people don't see," he told a reporter once. That line would outlive him. Then 1993 hit like a freight train. Allegations, police raids, media frenzy. That year alone, Wacko Jacko appeared in tabloids 847 times. Every angle, every story, every photo designed to make him look guilty, crazy, or both. The nickname wasn't just mockery anymore, it was weaponized. By September 1997, when Barbara Walters reached out for an interview on ABC's 2020, Michael had one condition: "Let me speak." No interruptions, no gotcha questions. She agreed. The interview was scheduled for September 12th. Michael prepared like he prepared for concerts, rehearsing lines, checking angles, controlling what he could control. In his dressing room, he placed the white glove on the table. Not to wear, just to see. A reminder of who he'd been before the world decided he was a punchline. Walters was known for tough questions. He knew that. But he also knew this. He was done being silent about the name that followed him everywhere. Michael arrived at ABC Studios 30 minutes early. The makeup artist noticed his hands shaking when she powdered his face. He kept reaching into his jacket pocket, touching the white glove he'd tucked there. A producer mentioned another journalist was in the building, British tabloid reporter, scheduled for a quick post-interview session. Michael's manager had agreed to it weeks ago, before they knew what the Walters interview would demand. Too late to cancel now. The makeup artist asked if he was nervous. "Always," he said. In the mirror, he practiced the line he'd been rehearsing for days. 6 words. That's all it would take. The studio was cold. Walters sat across from him, notes prepared, camera operators adjusting angles. September 12th, 1997. This was the moment. 60 million people were about to watch him defend his humanity on live television. The white glove stayed in his pocket. He wouldn't need armor today. He needed truth. The interview started with Princess Diana. She died just 2 weeks earlier, August 31st, chased by paparazzi through a Paris tunnel. Walters asked Michael how it made him feel. His answer came fast, raw. "They chase me like that. I've said to drivers, 'Slow down, you're going to kill us.'" The emotion in his voice was real. But then Walters shifted. She reached beneath her desk and pulled out a tabloid. The headline filled the screen. "Wacko Jacko loves llamas." Michael's face changed. Camera 3 caught it. The exact moment his jaw clenched, his eyes went flat. "I'm not Wacko," he said, voice cracking on the words. "My name is not Jacko. I'm tired of being called that. It hurts my feelings." 60 million people watched a grown man admit that words had power to wound him. Walters leaned in. "But Michael, isn't this just publicity? Don't you invite this attention?" The room temperature dropped. What he wanted to say would destroy the rest of the interview. He swallowed it, for now. In the green room, 3 doors down, Sarah Mitchell checked her recorder. That's not her real name. She never went public with what happened next, but people close to the incident confirmed the story years later. She'd been writing about Michael Jackson for 6 years, mostly for British tabloids. Her editor wanted edgy quotes, something to spin into a headline. She'd written Wacko Jacko pieces before, dozens of them. It was easy copy, clickable, profitable. A security guard poked his head in. "He's sensitive today, be careful." Sarah dismissed it. She'd interviewed hundreds of celebrities. They all acted sensitive until the cameras started rolling. Her recorder had fresh batteries. Her questions were loaded. She planned to ask about the plastic surgery, the skin bleaching accusations, the sleeping habits. Standard tabloid fare. Through the door crack, she could see Michael finishing with Walters. His shoulders slumped like he'd just survived something painful. Good, she thought. Vulnerable subjects gave better quotes. She had no idea what was about to happen. Michael walked into the green room exhausted. The Walters interview had drained him, admitting on national television that Wacko Jacko hurt his feelings, felt like peeling skin off a wound. He wanted to leave, get back to Neverland, hide. But his manager had scheduled this. 5 minutes, quick quotes, get it over with. Sarah Mitchell stood when he entered, extending her hand with a smile. "Lovely to meet you, Jacko." The words hung in the air. Michael stopped mid-step. His eyes went cold. The white glove was still in his pocket. He could feel it pressing against his ribs. He didn't shake her hand. The security guard by the door straightened, sensing something wrong. Sarah's smile faltered. She'd called him Jacko. Casual. Familiar. Like it was his name. Like it didn't carry the weight of 1,000 headlines designed to destroy him. Michael looked at her, really looked at her, and asked 6 words that would change everything. "Do you have children of your own?" Sarah's face drained of colour. The question landed like a slap. Yes, a daughter." Michael nodded slowly. His voice stayed quiet, controlled. "What's her name?" Sarah hesitated. "Michaela." The irony hit her before he could point it out. Named after the man she'd been calling Wacko Jacko for 6 years. Michael didn't smile. He explained in the same quiet voice what Jacko actually meant. The racist history. How it had been used in minstrel shows and Victorian-era caricatures to mock and dehumanize black performers. How adding Wacko turned it into a weapon. How every headline she'd written contributed to a narrative designed to strip him of dignity. How his own children, Prince was barely a year old, would grow up reading those words. "I don't want him to be called Wacko Jacko," he said. That line came from a later interview, but the sentiment was there in that green room. Sarah realized what she'd done. Not just in that moment, but for 6 years of casual cruelty disguised as journalism. The tears came within 90 seconds. Sarah apologized 7 times. Michael said nothing. He just stood there, white glove still in his pocket, watching her unravel. The security guard stayed by the door, frozen. Sarah's hands shook as she reached for her recorder, fumbling to turn it off. "Please," she said, "I didn't know." But she did know. Everyone knew Michael hated the nickname. He'd said it publicly. The difference was that now, faced with his humanity instead of his image, she couldn't hide behind her editor's demands, or her paycheck, or the distance a byline provides. She thought of her daughter, Michaela, who loved Michael Jackson's music, who dressed as him for Halloween, who would someday read the articles her mother had written. The assistant watching from the doorway would later describe the scene as devastating, not angry, just sad. Michael finally spoke. "When you write about me, remember I'm a person. I have feelings. I have children." Then he walked out. The interview never happened. Sarah sat in that green room for 20 minutes, crying into her hands. The piece Sarah was supposed to write never aired. She filed a different story instead, sympathetic, honest, acknowledging the harm the media had caused. Her editor killed it immediately. "This isn't what we do," he told her. When she pushed back, citing the encounter, he offered her a choice: write the hit piece or resign. She resigned. 3 days later, she leaked details of the green room confrontation to online Michael Jackson fan communities. The story spread quietly through message boards and early internet forums. Other journalists heard whispers. Some changed their language. Most didn't. The tabloids kept printing Wacko Jacko headlines, kept inventing stories, kept treating Michael like a circus act instead of a human being. But something had shifted. Michael's next project was the short film Ghosts, released in 1997, where he played a mysterious figure defending himself against a mob. The white glove appeared throughout the film. The message was clear: he was fighting back. Not with fists or lawsuits, but with art, with truth. Research later revealed what Michael already knew. Jacko wasn't just a nickname. It had roots in racist caricature, used in British entertainment to mock and dehumanize black performers. The term carried the same weight as other racial slurs, disguised as playful journalism. Michael's team documented over 2,400 Wacko Jacko headlines between 1986 and 2009. Each one was a small death, a tiny erasure of his humanity. The connection to minstrel show imagery was undeniable. White critics reducing a black artist to a cartoon character, focusing on his appearance and eccentricities instead of his artistic genius. His response had always been through his work. Ghosts wasn't just a short film, it was a 39-minute defense of his right to exist as himself, strange and brilliant and human. The white glove in the film symbolized what he'd always tried to say: "I am more than what you've decided to see." The question he asked Sarah about her children wasn't cruel. It was a mirror. Face yourself. Face what you've done. Michael Jackson died June 25, 2009, in Los Angeles. He was 50 years old. The news broke worldwide within minutes, and the headlines? Many still used Wacko Jacko. Even in death, the nickname followed him. Sarah Mitchell, now out of journalism and working in public relations, wrote a tribute piece explaining what had happened in that ABC green room 12 years earlier. It was published in a small online magazine. She described his 6 words, "Do you have children of your own?" as the moment she understood the cost of casual cruelty. Other journalists came forward with similar stories, moments when Michael had confronted them quietly, asking them to see him as human. Most had ignored it. His children, Prince, Paris, and Blanket, grew into adults defending their father's legacy. In 2020, Taj Jackson, Michael's nephew, tweeted, "For those who didn't know that the term Wacko Jacko, or Jacko, is racist, Michael Jackson was openly called this in both British and American press." The fight continued. One of Michael's white gloves sold at auction for $350,000. In 2025, journalism schools debate the ethics of the Wacko Jacko era. What responsibility does the press have when covering someone who seems to invite spectacle? Where's the line between public interest and public humiliation? The 6 words Michael asked, "Do you have children of your own?" became a case study in empathy and accountability. Simple words, impossible to answer once you've been forced to see your subject as human. The white glove that Michael carried in his pocket that day in 1997 is now in the Smithsonian, part of an exhibit on American music icons. Behind glass, under lights, it represents something more than a fashion choice or performance prop. It represents dignity under assault. The lesson isn't complicated. Words designed to diminish the speaker more than the target. Michael knew that. He tried to tell them for decades. Most didn't listen until it was too late. Fame doesn't protect you. It exposes every wound and invites the world to press on it.